Hey everybody. So I need to start out and explain somehow the my first when I was starting these videos for this, they got deleted. So all the initial videos showing how to do this uh, got lost somehow. So I'm going to recreate or try and recreate those segments, the beginning parts of this tutorial. So initial apologies if this video is a little bit disjointed. It's because of that. Some of it got deleted somehow, and so I'm having to go back in time and start over. Okay, so let me start off with the pattern for this first one that I made. And this is a short version of the spats for for boots, and this is the end product. But I'm going to walk you through some of the options that are available for this. Okay, so here's the pattern for that one, and you'll notice that in the pattern, I specify things like, this one right here is for the left foot, and this piece specifically is for the left foot facing outward, things like that. And then also down at the bottom, I'll specify, this version is for using the buttons or button conchos like I've used here. So there's a lot of detail explaining, which pieces are for what and go where and whatnot. So this one that you'll see here, I used this piece in the front to bring the two pieces together, and then I used grommets and lacing on the back. The options are here. So like, here's that piece that goes along the front. But if you wanted to just use a regular French seam or butt joint on here without this, that's up to you. That's totally, you can totally do that. Also, you'll see here, here's the holes for the grommets. But if you don't want to use those, don't punch them. There's a I don't have it here. There's another piece, one of these pieces here to unify the back side here. So if you wanted to use a strip of leather to bring them together instead of using grommets, also fine to do. Okay, there's the holes here and the slots for the buttons. And like I said before, I'm using button conchos. I have another, later on you'll see a segment that shows the difference between button conchos and buttons with shanks or shank buttons. Okay, so there's a couple options there. And then also you'll see that on the patterns, there's these lines here. Okay, so there's a line here, and then there's a corresponding line right here. Okay, and there's little notes explaining what those are. And later on in the video, I kind of explain a little bit more, and I'll show you an example. But those lines are for if you want to make the spat smaller or larger. Okay, so but I'll show you more about that later. The other thing that I wanted to show you is these right here. So these are just showing you where to put the under boot strap. So this thing right here that goes under the boot and secures with a button concho. So that's what these are. Now in the pattern, at the end of one of the pages, I have a variety of different ways. Okay, so here's and I explain all these as well. This one is for the button concho. So here's a little slot where You put the button on one side, and then on the other side it wraps around, and then there's the slot to put the button through. There's also a way to do this on with Sam Browne buttons, or with a buckle and a buckle strap. So here's some options to choose from if you don't want to use the button concho or buttons to secure this under the boot. So basically that's it. What you're going to end up doing is, let me pull this over here and unfold it. This one's folded just to show you as an option if you wanted to fold it down. But basically what you're going to do is, so you're going to cut out the pieces, cut out the sides, cut out this side, and then it's pretty straightforward. I just punch the holes and put in the grommets on that piece. On this piece here, same thing. I just punch the holes and put in the grommets. On this piece and this main strip here, I punch the stitching holes, and in this version, I stitched back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And you can see here on the inside, the kind of the cross hatching to keep, give this strength and keep it secure, and keeping the two pieces together. So that's one way of doing it. I'll show you that in the other videos coming up. I'll show you the other ways to do it. But yeah, so once you do that, once you bring these together, do the lacing, punch the holes for the slots for the buttons, and then this piece here that comes back up around. I mentioned this in on the paper, but the length that I provide here is an estimation. Okay, I'm not sure the size of your boots and boot widths. Boot widths can obviously vary, so measure. So I put a hole as an example of where you might place these, the under boot straps, and they're right here. But what I usually do, I will cut out a large piece, and I know I'm going to punch one or two holes on one side, and so this is the for sure side, which goes here. Once I have that, I'll place it, make sure it wraps around and under the boot at the right location before punching this hole for the button, and also before punching the slot for the button. So I'll measure this, wrap it around, and make sure that there's enough space to go around. This one, it's I measured it, then cut it, put the slot in there so it fit for this boot. Okay, so as you're doing these pieces for the under boot pieces, make sure you measure before you do the final cuts, and before the punching, before the holes for the buckles, before the Sam Browne button, all those different things that are going to vary from boot to boot. Okay, so that's one thing I want to make sure you keep in mind as you're doing these. Other than that, I think that's about it for the first video. It went together really easy. These are, I'm trying to think of, these are 1/4 inch grommets and 1/4 inch holes. These are 3/4 inch concho or button conchos, and I explain a little bit more about what makes them button concho versus a regular concho in one of the upcoming videos, and I'll make sure that that's there. I might have to redo it. Either way, fairly straightforward. The other option, let me get it. the other version for the short spat. And this one I showed you, I will show you, cutting this line, cutting the corresponding line and making it smaller, just so you can see an example. So I'll be doing this one as well and showing the variations with how to do the Sam Brown button with the different hardware, and also some leaves for the buckles and the straps. Yeah, that's how this one will turn out. So the short spats have two versions. The larger, taller spats or gaiters have two versions as well that I will be going over. Okay, so keep that in mind. And again, sorry if it feels disjointed. Just technical issues, I guess. All right, let's get to it. Okay, a quick note. When you're cutting these out, you'll notice there are little icons here with scissors, and that is so that when you are cutting them out and putting them together, they line up. Okay, so for example, see how there's here and here? Those are going to line up perfectly, just like I have here. So make sure that the icons line up, little scissors, before you tape them down, to make sure that the sizing is correct and the rest of so everything lines up correctly, basically. Okay. All right, let's go. Here's also what I wanted to show you. In the pattern, you'll find notes like this, optional stitching back if not using grommet holes. So this one, of course you gotta put these together, will be for this stitching right here. Optional, again, if you want to use it. Okay. Hey everybody. So this is going to be an interesting one. These are spats, and this is the longer leg version. I have a shorter one that I'll show you here in a minute for shorter boots. But if you have longer boots, or you want something a longer length on your leg as part of your cosplay, then this is the one you're going to use. And let me explain a few things, which is what's pretty cool about this pattern. This is just one version, okay, with the buttons here that you can just button on, button off along the side, and then you can tighten it with the lacing on the back. So first there's that, but then let me get a pattern here. This is just one of the versions of for this side, right? What's cool about it is that these lines here that you'll see on the different parts of the pattern, like here, these right here, once you put this together, you can cut these and make the pattern smaller proportionally according to your needs. So like this one's big. This is the largest size. Well, not the largest, because obviously you could, if you needed to make this bigger, you could just cut this line here and then separate it a little bit and then tape it back together. Okay, same thing with this line here. Just if you do this line, if you do this line here, then on the corresponding part on the other, so like this is the left side of the leg, left side of the left leg. This would be the left side of the right leg, or right side of the left leg. Sorry. So the corresponding piece, you would make the same width change to this line. So this line is the same as the other side of the leg, and it matches up with this line. Okay, and you don't have to do it but if you want the back sides to be proportional, as far as like moving in, moving out, then you do the same thing to this line here, move it in or move it out. Okay, so you'll see that on all the patterns, these lines that you can, like I said, this is like size for me, for a big guy. and larger boots. But obviously not everybody's so big. And so what you would do is to shrink it, you would cut down all this line here on this side and just bring it in and like overlap it. So if you overlap it, like 1/4 of an inch, then on the other piece that corresponds to this front side, like here, then you'd cut this and then you'd overlap it 1/4 of an inch, right? So that both sides are proportionally getting smaller or larger, okay? So you can see, and then also for the height, if you like, see here's this line here on this one, same line, matching line, matches up height-wise, and so you would cut along this line and this line here, and then overlap it smaller if you want to make the whole thing shorter. Okay, so you can lengthen, make the pattern bigger, make it smaller, shorter, just by adjusting the corresponding lines on the pattern itself. Okay, another cool option is on some of the patterns, there are options for if you want to use stitching and stitch them together, or you can use lacing like I've done with this one, or if you wanted to use some of the straps, or there's pieces on the let me show you one here. So this is just a small version, but there's pieces of straps, lengths of leather like this with holes in it for sewing them together like this, instead of a traditional inside out stitching and then folding it right side out. So there's a couple of options. There's several options actually for doing this. If you wanted to put like a boot heel, there's a line for cutting out a boot heel, an extra piece of leather that would go here, approximately here, to reinforce the heel if you want to go for that look. So there's a lot of little things. Additionally, let me show you on this pattern here specifically. Get this out of the way. Okay, for this pattern, and this is going to be for the other leg, and so I did this one with the buttons to show you the examples of how that looks. This one is going to be the other leg, but I'm going to be doing it a little bit different. There's these little tabs here along the way, and you also notice that the leather pieces they overlap, and there's a nice curve to it. But so that's one thing, and then obviously the stitching or lacing, but the closures, how I have it set up, and I'll show you this as I go through it. But you can either use a buckle and a strap on these, which is those pieces are also included in the pattern. Or if you wanted to do you can do like a loop like this, and make a loop that goes here, and then lacing would, it would lace zigzag between these loops. That's another option. So there's a lot of different ways you can make this your own. Okay, and all those little pieces and all these little things are included on one of the sheets in the pattern. Okay, let me show you how this other one that I have done already looks on a boot, just so you can get a reference for how it looked. And this one also, I was going to tell you that this one I did with, it's like 2 to 3 ounce leather. It's a little bit, it's nice and sturdy, but it's definitely floppier. And I wanted that on purpose. I was going for a more floppy looking spat, long spat. And I'll show you the other one, another one I did, the short one I did with a stiffer leather. Let me grab that real quick. Hold on. Okay, so here's the shorter one that I was talking about. I also used the buttons, and I used the lacing on the back, and I used a little strap here, which that one will have as well. But this is the shorter one, and you can see that it has it's much stiffer. This is probably 4 to 5 ounce, probably around 5, I think is what else I got. But yeah, so 5 ounce leather. It has the stitching along the front, and that's how it looks there on the shoe. And I just used this is some Doc Martens as an example. But so there's different sizes on the pattern for the short and long, and then you can also adjust it to your needs. Like I said, this is the thicker leather versus the thinner one here that I used. I'm going to just show you the different options on these. I'm going to make this the longer spat, but with the different enclosures here. I'm going to make this out of that stiffer leather, just so you can see the differences in how they're gonna kind of fit around the boot, how they're gonna lie. And so you can see the different options on how yours might turn out for your outfit. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and start cutting out leather for these pieces here, and then I'll show you the progress. All right, see you in a minute. Hey everybody, just so on a side note, for those that are curious about the hardware I'm using here, these ones are called shank buttons. And the ones on the smaller one here I'm using, those are called button conchos. And I have a couple of examples here. So a shank button is not like your regular button. It's going to have this little post. Oops, I can see that. A little post that sticks out, a little hole. That's a shank button, and that's what you're going to use on here. Traditional buttons are going to be a little bit harder to work in and out of the slots. These work much easier. So shank buttons, and then this, like I said, this is a button concho, different from regular conchos. Like I'll show you in a second. It has that little standoff there compared to regular conchos, which don't have that. They just have the screw and that little post there. And usually they have these little nubs that dig into the leather to keep it in place. Button conchos, like this one, do not have that, and they have that little extra standoff to make it a button, like I've used in the smaller one. So those are two options. Again, like if you're using this one, you're just going to punch a hole and screw it in, and then with the buttons, or the shank buttons, you are going to have to punch a couple holes in the leather to do some stitching to hold that down. And there's videos on YouTube already that show how to sew a shank button. So I'm not gonna repeat that. There's plenty of resources out there to show you how to stitch one of these to fabric, to leather, to whatever. All right, okay, let's get back. Hey everybody, so I'm back and I'm going to show you some progress on this. Before I show you kind of where I'm at, I wanted to remind you of a few things. That at the beginning I was talking about different options on ways you can customize this, and this version on this leg, I'm going to be doing the buckles and straps instead of the buttons. And one of the things I was showing you was there's these lines in here for doing like a heel, like a reinforced heel. And I went ahead and I thought, I'll go ahead and do that and throw it on here. So what I did after I cut out the piece and punched all the holes and stuff, I went ahead and cut out this piece, the heel, which is just it's an inverse. This right here is just an inverse of this. So I cut out one, punched the holes, stitches, and flipped it over, cut out another piece, did the punches and the stitch holes as well. So that's what you'll see here in just a second when I'm showing this to you. I also did a slightly different stitching on the front. If you remember, let me show you here. This one, the stitching goes back and forth, and on the opposite side it has the cross hatch, right? And that's what this is for, just to reinforce and bring these two pieces together and keep it nice and solid. On the new one, this other leg, I did it slightly different. Let me get this out of the way real quick. Hold on. Okay, so here's the one I'm working on. I got it, like I said, got it cut out, got the holes punched, the grommets in place. Yeah, and I did this little heel piece that's gonna it's gonna wrap around the back side of the heel. And this right here is just, like I said, just for look, reinforcement, make the look a little bit different. And I decided to go with some green accents, and I'll kind of explain that a little bit as I go on. But so here's the whole thing. So there's this one piece I needed to do the lacing still, and then here's this side. It also has this heel piece here that it's the grommets go all the way through. And one thing that's, in case you're just getting started, there are different depths of grommets out there. So these four they're all 1/4 inch hole size, but some grommets, that little shaft is not as long or not as deep or thick or whatever you want to call it as others. And so these ones, I had to look on Amazon and do some comparison because it's not readily available information. Like if you go to Tandy and get 1/4 inch grommets, first of all, they don't have the antique bronze grommets. I don't know why, just eyelets. Anyway, if you get grommets from Tandy, the depth of that little shaft for putting it on leather is really shallow. And that's what I've been able to find at Tandy. So I had to go through Amazon to find different grommets first for antique bronze or antique brass, and then for thickness, if you have really thick leather that you want to use a 1/4 inch hole grommet, you're gonna have to find do some looking in the description of the grommets to make sure that how deep or how thick leather you can use. Okay, so be aware of that as you're doing projects like this. If it's not working, find deeper grommets, and they're out there. The other thing I was going to show you, compared to that other one, the other sewing job or the other spat, I did back and forth. This one, I wanted to try out and show you that doing just one side all the way down and one side all the way back, that how that's going to turn out. And it's going to turn out fine. I did on this tip on the very top, I wanted to reinforce the joining together, and so I did go across, and you can see there that I went across just to reinforce that, so I didn't have any pullage. If the more this comes up and down, I fold it or unfold it, it's going to get some wear, and so I wanted to reinforce the top of that. That's why. Okay, so what I'm going to do next steps, I have the little tabs here with the buckles ready to go, and these are going to go all along this side. Of course this will fold under, but for this piece right now, I'm going to go ahead and punch, or I'm going to rivet, I should say. I should rivet these down and make sure they're the right way, but I'm going to rivet all the way down, and I've glued these just to hold them in place. It makes it a little bit easier when you're handling and putting them in place. I glued them down first. That's why it's kind of like that. And I've used barge cement on these. But these are 3/4 inch buckles and 3/4 inch tabs. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. I got all these cut out and ready to go. As I was doing this, if I'm gonna put this up here like this, I was looking at the colors, and because I'm using this green accent color, I originally in the pattern, here's for the buckles, like I just showed you, and here's for the strap for the buckles. I made some brown ones, but then I was looking and I'm like, if I put this together, it would look okay. It would look just fine. But if I want to do something unique and show you guys options on how you make this pretty cool, you could do something like this. Get some of that same green and make almost like I did some tooling on it just with a swivel knife and a X-Acto blade, and made it almost like a leaf shape strap. So using the same hole, you can do something like that. Okay, if you could imagine some of these, and this one I haven't done the tooling on yet, but if you could imagine, doing something like that. I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do some more of these leaf style. I don't even know what you call them, but it's going to look pretty interesting once I get this in place. Once I get this laced up and the buckles, I'm going to, using basically the same measurements as what's in the pattern, just make a leaf one. And you can do this if you want. It's totally up to you. It would still look great using the brown strap. I'm looking for just, some ideas on customization. That's why I'm doing it this way. So if you guys have, and I'll try and put this shape in the pattern as well. As soon as I come up with a good shape for myself, I'll put it in there. But yeah, it would look something like that, which looks pretty cool. Yeah, kind of like a leaf strap. Anyway, that's what I'm going to do next. Buckles first. Get some of these cranked out and tooled and measured to make sure that the hole I have here, the hole here, works right. And then, like I always say, measure, depending on where that hole is going to end up, and then punch that hole after you have this placed, so you can measure where the buckle hole is going to go. Okay. All right. I'm going to do this. I'll be right back. Okay. So I have it almost complete. I got the straps punched out, got a little bit of tooling on there, give them kind of almost a leaf motif look in there, just some accents to it. But yeah, I like the green. On the straps, the green there in the front, and I got the lacing done as well. So I'm going to, so I can bring this out a little bit. I'm going to get this on a boot, just make sure that everything is, fitted correctly. But you can always adjust, with the lacing in the back, or punching. I just have right now one hole in each strap, measured and then cut to size. But if you needed to put some additional holes to tighten this up, you definitely can. But yeah, this is the thicker leather than the other one. That was the 2 to 3 ounce. This is probably 5.5, maybe 6 in some places, but I don't think so. But it has kind of it's a little bit more stiff than the other one, but it's definitely soft. And you can see in parts of the leather has some of that fuzzy and the wrinkles, and so it definitely has not a flop to it, but it's definitely softer than some of the stiffer veg tans or chrome tans that are out there. I put the top buckle and I gave it some more spacing between this first and the second, just so that you can fold this down if you want to. If this is too high, yeah, and you don't want to fold just the top like that, you can, or you can fold it even further down, depending on the size that you need and the size of your calf and leg. So a couple options there as far as how to wear it once you have it on. But yeah, it definitely helps if the leather is soft enough to fold as needed. Okay. All right, so I'm going to get a boot and get some final measurements so I can have the little piece here that goes under that, so it'll go from here, if you can imagine a piece of leather like that, and then on the other side is where I will have a buckle, and then you can cinch the buckle here. Let me get to that and get some pictures taken and show you how it turned out. Okay, here's on the boot, and I haven't folded it down, and I'll show you that in a second, but I want to show you how it looked on the boot. So if you remember, this is the left leg, or the left boot, and this side would go on the inside of the leg. But yeah, I think it turned out really nice. Let me fold it down just so you kind of see that. And here it is with the top folded over. If you wanted to fold down, at least one of the buckles is folded down. Like I said, between the first and the second, this right here, you can see the rivet for the second buckle. But yeah, that's how it turns out if you fold it down. Yeah, which isn't bad. But you can make this yours, as I've mentioned. All right, let me get some of these on somebody so you can see somebody actually wearing them. And then, yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to contact me. Let me know how's yours turned out. If you have any problems, let me know. And good luck. All right. Hey, everybody. So you've seen me do the small spats and a couple of the larger spats, and I realized that as I was explaining these lines here on the larger one, that you can like adjust the pattern for your size, I figured I might as well do that and show you exactly what I'm talking about. So I went ahead and had the leathers already cut out, the patterns been cut out, and this one is the short spats, and I have it set up for buckles. But I wanted to kind of go through that process of what I meant by adjusting the size of these by cutting this line and the corresponding line on this side. So if you look at this right, this is going to be for the left foot or left boot, and this is the opposite side, right? So it's going to be like this. So if you look at it, this line flipped on this side lines up with this line here, and that's where the sizing comes into play. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take off about 1/2 inch and make it smaller. Okay, so if I'm going to use this as the awl here, I'm going to go ahead, first I'm going to cut this line, and so it's going to become 2, right? And I'm going to take off, I'm going to move this piece here, I'm going to move it back about 1/2 inch. So about where that line is right there. So I'm going to move it this way. So to make sure that the other side lines up correctly, okay, then when I cut this line here, I'm going to have to move this piece that way about 1/2 inch. Okay, so whatever the measurement is from this line here to this line, and I don't have a ruler, but I'll show you here in a second. So whatever it is, whatever this is that I'm gonna move this way, I'm gonna have to do the same thing on this side. I'm gonna move it from here this way. So same thing, get one of these bigger pieces here. Same thing on these bigger pieces. So if you have, let me zoom out. Ooh, no, can't zoom out. So if you needed to, for example, make this whole thing shorter, this line is going to be the same that's going to show up on, for example, this piece right here, this line right there. And so if I take this one, cut it on the line, cut this on the line, and then I have to bring both pieces, or all three in this case, all down. Okay, same thing with like, for example, this line right here. This line, since it's towards the front, actually corresponds with this one. So if I wanted to make this wider, I would cut this line, and then on this one, I'd cut this line, and then whatever space extra I add and tape it down is the same space I'm going to add here, separate it and then tape it down. Okay, so enough talking and talking about it. I'm going to go ahead and do it with this one, so you see what I'm talking about in a practical fashion. So okay, so I'm going to cut these and get them adjusted real quick. Hold on. Okay, so hopefully that came through well. Yeah, I measured from this edge here to that line, this line right here, and it was 5/8 of an inch. Okay, so this is why I cut it, lined this line that I had to right up against here, and then on this one I cut it and then measured, like I said, I made some marks, and then measured, put down the line and then moved it 5/8 of an inch in and taped it down. So now this spat is going to be, what's that, 5/8 and 5/8, 10/8, inch and a quarter, I guess, about an inch and a quarter smaller this way. But like I said, you can move this more or less, or make it bigger if you need to. I'm going to go ahead and start putting these back on the leather pieces and getting them cut out, and get the holes punched. This one I'm going to be doing similar to that large one because I think it came out so well with the leaf buckle straps. But I have the regular ones here just in case you want to use a simplified version. But either way, yeah, here's the buckles. I still need to cut this piece out. This piece is well, actually I'm not. This one is for the optional stitching on the back. If you're going to do stitching here on the back side instead of using grommets, you'll use this right here. Or if you wanted to do like a an inverted stitch where you put them inside, you put the pieces inside out, stitch it, and then fold it back. You know, fold it back like that. You can do that too. That would work as well. There's a lot of ways you can make this your own if you're uncomfortable with some of this other techniques, or if you don't want to use grommets, or if you're not comfortable stitching, and you know, you don't want to do all that kind of extra stuff. Totally fine. Yeah, so I'm gonna get that going and make it the leaf buckle straps, and then also with the green, put the green on here on the front as well, or here on this front as well, just because I like that look of it. I think it came out nice. Might do a couple of those completed, or a couple of these completed. Anyway, all right, I'll be right back. Okay, so here it is, this last one that I just, if you remember, I adjusted the size on this part and the corresponding the other side so that it would be, you know, not as wide, it's more narrow. And this is the result. Yeah, came out well. It fits pretty good there on the boot. Let's turn it around. Here it is on the other side. And like I said, you know, it's made, you know, I made the distance here longer, or wide, or yeah, taller, so you can fold this down, similar to this one here, that's with the buttons that I did. You can just fold it down if you want. I'm gonna go ahead and I need to make the little strap that goes under the boot. Still need to make that for here, and it helps keep it secure on the boot. So I need to make it for this one and for the large spat or large gaiter as well. So I need to do that real quick, and I'll be right back. But otherwise, I think it's looking good. It fits pretty well. So yeah, doing the making the, you know, adjusting the size worked out how I needed it to. All right, be back in a second. Hey guys, so I'm back to show you a few options here on these spats and gaiters, as far as attaching it to the bottom. So on all of them, I have, on the one side that's you know, that doesn't have all the buckles, I have the, you know, riveted strap, and then there's a few different ways to do this depending on how you want to make it look. You can either have like a buckle that you attach this to, or something like this where it has a Sam Brown button that you thread through, and then with the strap, with this type of connector, instead of a buckle, you just have this like double ring. Or you could do, you know, something similar to this with this just a rectangle. Let me show you one. Yeah, something like this. If you can't find something that has the two loops, a rectangle, you know, size to the strap would work as well. Or you can do something like this, where you have the buttons and they match. So you just you pull this up, and on all of these, straps, since I don't know what size boot you're gonna wear, make sure that on this strap you cut it longer, and then measure where you're gonna put the hole. Okay, so for this one too, I put this side, I riveted this side here, I riveted this strap here, and then when the strap was long without the Sam Brown, I measured it out where I was going to put the Sam Brown button, and then punched the hole for that, and then measured again on where the second hole was going to be to secure it, and then I punched it. So, you know, same thing with all of these. Make sure you, after or even before, if you can, measure where you're going to put the rivet, and then measure to what part you're going to cut, either for the button. This is a concho button, or this type of fastener, or a buckle. Okay, so there's a few different ways to do this, or if you have some other way you want to with like snaps, you could put a snap here if you wanted to. A lot of different ways, but this is the 3 ways that I wanted to show you. Pick this up here, so that it fits your needs. Okay, so again, if you have any questions, let me know. Otherwise, good luck, and I'm going to see if I can get somebody to, if I can get myself probably to wear some of these and show you how they look on someone. All right, till next time, good luck. Thank you.